Good morning and welcome. I wish to welcome everyone and officially declare the meeting open at 9 a.m. Could I remind everybody that Council's ordinary meetings are open to the public and are also live streamed to provide access to all community members. Attendees in the gallery may be recorded, and this video and audio of the meeting will be available for the public on the Council's website. I wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians on this land which we stand, the Gulnay people, and acknowledge my respect for their current and emerging elders and those in the dreaming, and thank them for the contributions that they make building our community. I would like to welcome Mrs. Judy Stippers from the Mission Beach Family Church to conduct our opening prayer. Good morning.
Thank you, Teresa, and good morning, everyone. Before I do pray, I just wanted to acknowledge your service, the councillors here today, and what a valued part of our community that you are, and to acknowledge your hard work and hardships that come with that, I'm sure. So as I was preparing, I was thinking, you know, when we have a community or this council, the regional council that we have, that you come with from many different, as representatives of your areas, and then you come with many hats on committees and contending with all of the, I suppose, conflicts and things like that come with the joys, but that can breed, you know, you'd have tensions in your life and in your work as you go. So, you know, I think the message I wanted to bring this morning was bringing one of always keeping the main idea, the main thing, the main thing, really, that what we're here for, what you're here for, and to keep that sense of unity and purpose, common purpose that you all have. In the Bible, actually, in the book of Mark, it says, Jesus says that a kingdom divided against itself shall fall. It can never stand. And do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that conflicts, don't let those conflicts or things become ingrained or become bitterness, but just keeping your eye on the prize, I suppose, which is our regional council and our beautiful area that we live in. Mm-hmm. So there's a word for that too. In Ephesians chapter 4, the whole chapter is about unity for the church, but I think it applies here in our council meeting today. It says, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you have received. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love, as I'm sure you do many times. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. So that's my encouragement to you today. And know that you're valued, respected in the work that you do, and to keep running the race, really. So let's pray. Join with me if you will. Father God, I just thank you for this opportunity to be here. I thank you for each and every one here, each councillor, our CEO, our mayor, the staff who are here today, Lord, and even people in the gallery. Lord, I just pray that this meeting might be blessed, fully blessed, Lord, that your presence might be here today and your presence might be that source of peace and unity. I pray for a productive meeting, Lord, that people might keep the main thing, and that they might make that effort to create the unity and the peace in this place, because when they do, everyone will benefit. All the people that are represented by them, there will be benefit, and our regional council will be strong and move forward, Lord. And I just pray that each one has wisdom, insight, knowledge, and good sense, Lord, as they deliberate on the decisions that need to be made today. And I thank you for all of these things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Excuse me, Mrs. Stippers. In keeping with the tradition, could you make a special prayer for the wedding of the Talish?
I shall do my very best with the connections I have. Oh, Father God, thank you for the Tully show. And as I've driven in this morning, there's great scurrying and preparations happening at our showgrounds here at Tully. And I do pray, Lord, that the weather be conducive to people to have good fellowship, good times, and and just a great time of showcasing the things that our community does here in Tully. And Lord, I just pray that your blessing be upon the weather for the duration of the Tully show. In Jesus' name, amen. And everyone said, amen.
Okay, in agreement. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Good. Thank you.
We move on to our apologies. Are there any apologies? No apologies. I now invite those present to use this opportunity to make public any prescribed conflicts of interest or declarable conflicts of interest in respect of the items in the agenda. Councillors should use this opportunity to disclose and or comment on other councillors and or staff interests in accordance with the Act and regulations. Do we have any declarations? No. We will move on to item 1, minutes of the last local government meeting. I now call for a mover and a seconder to confirm the minutes. Moved by Councillor Jessup. Seconded by Councillor Baines. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 1.2, minutes of the special budget meeting. We have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Pervin, seconded by Councillor Chewy. All those in favour? Carried, thank you. Move on to business arising. Is there any business arising from the previous minutes? No business arising. Do we have somebody to move? No motion. All right, we'll move on to 3.1. I now call for a move. We're receiving the minutes from the Traffic Advisory Committee and Speed Management Advisory Committee meetings held on 11th of June 2025. Sure.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair, happy to move, and just would like to acknowledge and thank the committee for the recent speed reductions at Bingle Bay and on Wheatley Road. These have been pushed by our community for a very, very long time, and communities reached out to me and are very grateful for that. So just like to acknowledge the gratitude from community on those decisions made. Thank you.
Councillor Pervin.
Yeah, can I just speak to it as well? Thanks, Chair. Myself and Councillor Baines and Councillor Littlemore are actually on these committees, and not necessarily if somebody puts forward what they want is going to happen. It's got to go to a few different departments that are actually involved in these advisory committees. Main roads are there, Queensland Police, there's a fair few. Things do take time and everything is looked at, traffic count, traffic stats, all sorts of stuff, accidents, everything's taken into consideration. I just want to let people know that if they have got issues and they do want certain things raised in the community in relation to speed or traffic, these are the committees that need to know about this. So if anybody has got any concerns and want something on the agenda for these meetings, they're held, I think, 4 times a year the meetings are, and any issues that are raised we can certainly raise for the residents.
So, Councillor Pervin, what's the best avenue for them to do that? Should they do it through a customer request? Should they contact yourself?
Yeah, customer request or directly email myself or one of the other councillors, and any councillor actually, and all staff, they'll pass it on to the relevant areas to get it into those, the agenda items.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a mover? You want to move it, Trudy? Seconded by Councillor Littlemore. Okay, we shall move on to 4.1. Sorry. I'm jumping the gun. Sorry. All those in favour? Thank you. Sorry. I'm on a race this morning, aren't I? We'll move on to 4.1. Thanks, guys. Community grants and support, and we'll have Miss Hack will present. Thank you. Must have me racing car parked here today.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
Present the Community Grants and Support Annual Program Review 25-26. Cassowary Coast Regional Council's Community Grants and Support Program provides support for identified community members and local community organisations that endeavour to... Thank you.
Got it?
That endeavours to make positive change and contribute to a vibrant community. The objectives of the Cassowary Coast Regional Council Community Grants and Support Program are to create opportunities for diverse activities and events to meet identified community priorities that align with Council's vision and strategic objectives in accordance with the Council's 2025 to 2030 Integrated Corporate and Operational Plan. Build community skills, capacity and resilience. Develop and maintain community infrastructure. Strengthen our community through social inclusion and collaboration. Form collaborative partnerships to prioritise physical and mental well-being for residents and to prioritise the natural environment. Council is required to prepare and adopt a community grants policy in accordance with the Local Government Regulations 2012. Feeding into the policy is the yearly grant guidelines. The Community Services team have undertaken a review of the Community Grants and Support Program guidelines that included internal learnings and community feedback on the current grant funding streams and processes since the previous year's rounds. Following the findings of the review of the Community Grants and Support Program guidelines, there are 5 recommendations for your approval to be adopted in the revised 2025 to 2026 Cassowary Coast Regional Council Community Grants Program Guidelines. A draft copy has been attached to this report. The recommendations are that Council adopt the revised 2025 to 2026 Cassowary Coast Regional Council Community Grants Program Guidelines and approve the following recommendations. Number 1, community projects and initiatives grant funding stream move from 3 shorter rounds to 2 longer rounds. Number 2, increase project support from $5,000 per project to $7,500 for the community projects and initiatives funding stream. Number 3, amending the name of the Mayor's Emergent Fund to the Mayor's Discretionary Events Fund and increase project support from $1,000 per project to $1,200 per project. Number 4, increase eligible items for the Sports Clubs and Active Recreation Insurance Support Program to include upskilling and training volunteers, as well as associated charges for the affiliate or membership charges, increasing project support from $250 to $400 per application, and changing the name to the Sports Clubs and Active Recreation Support Program. Number 5, conduct year-round grants rounds between August to April of the financial year, including the Sports Club and Active Recreation Support Program, STEAM and Youth Sports Assistance Grants, and the Mayor's Discretionary Events Fund.
Councillor Chewy.
Thank you, through the chair. Just a few questions, Ms Hack. We know how community embrace these community grants and are grateful for them. Could you just explain from 3 shorter rounds to 2 longer rounds? What does that actually... I have a few questions, but that's my first one. What does that actually mean, if you could explain, please?
Thank you. Through the chair, based on feedback we've collated from individuals and groups, the shortness of the grant rounds was intimidating, I guess, when people are applying for these grants. By having 2 rounds that are longer, giving them ample opportunity with communications prior to the round opening, I think that will give more time for people to put through a good application and submission.
Thank you. And we're running workshops to give people guidance on the grant process?
Through the chair, that's correct. Council are excited to put out 2 workshops this year in line with those 2 proposed grant rounds.
And are they limited numbers? Because I know we've had people want to be able to come and then not be able to because they've been booked. So will there be restrictions on numbers?
Absolutely. Through the chair, we will have capped numbers, unfortunately, just due to venue and the facilitator capabilities.
Sure.
But we will go out to community, and hopefully if people miss out on the first workshop, they can go to the second workshop.
Thank you. And also, so I'm assuming, I'm not attended one, I'm assuming it runs through the full process of the grant application, because when I talk to various people, the word acquittal makes the hairs on the back of their neck stand
Just
up.
write that down.
So could you explain, in the workshop there explained the acquittal process and how important it is for further applications?
Absolutely, through the chair. That workshop will cover from the beginning, submission, project development, all the way through to those processes, and including financial acquittal, report writing, taking photographs, and also the part of the workshop will be group or committee governance as well.
Sure.
And responsibilities within those groups
Thank you.
to do the acquittal.
Okay, my last one, just the youth sports assistance grants. Do people know about those? Because I'm in Woolies, and little Sammy's got to go to Peninsula and in Redcliffe, and I need some money. So do we make it easy and obvious for people to be able to find those? Do sport clubs know? Do schools know? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, through the chair.
Yeah.
This year we are really looking forward to getting those words out, doing extra communications with the schools, with the sports clubs, with the parents, and we will hit milestones as we go through the year to ensure that we are letting people know about these opportunities.
Yeah.
And probably just a really good opportunity to say that it's not just sports. If students
That's right.
are involved with science, technology,
Academic.
arts, mathematics, if they have to go away from the region to represent the region, they can also apply for this funding stream.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I do have one more. So we know that there's a process with sport. I'm talking sport. They go Peninsula and then national and things like state, national. Is there a limit to the number of times little Mummy can apply for the grant? So there's only one application per child. Sorry.
Yeah, through the chair, if little Sammy is looking to represent national and go overseas, we would say hold off, because you are correct. He can only apply once a year in that designated sport. If he is really good at spelling and he gets to go away to Perth, he may also apply for the other one, but it would be on a case-by-case basis. And as those funds are expended, they're gone.
Okay, appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Jessup, I was going to call you Chewy again. Oh my God, what a morning. Sorry.
Good morning,
Councillor
and through
Jessup.
the chair. So I think getting the word out on these, from what Councillor Chewy was saying, I think with the new avenue with our observer coming in, I think that that just gives us that other avenue to get the word out to people. I would like to say congratulations to you as well, because you're actually listening to the community. They want more time to fill out these forms and get into it. So congratulations, and I'm really glad the council is listening to the community. Thank you.
Any further comments? Happy to move. Moved by Councillor Chewy. Seconded by Councillor Jessup. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much. for
Thank
your
you
time.
very much.
Thank you.
Hope people get on board and get in there and get their applications in. Yeah. 5.1, we have the interim financial performance report, and Miss Peters will present. Good morning.
Hello. All right, here today to present the 24-25 interim financial performance report for June 2025. Just to highlight the following results are part of an interim report, and Council's final position for 24-25 will be confirmed as part of the financial statements which are adopted and audited by an external audit company and adopted around October. All right, financial performance highlights are operational revenue year to date is $118.5 million, which is less than budget by about $5 million. So we've achieved about 96% of our budgeted revenue for the year. Operational expenditure year to date is $118 million, which is under budget by $6.4 million. So we've spent 95% of the operational expenditure we budgeted. This results in an operational profit for the year of just under $500,000, which is better than budget expectations by $1.5 million due to a prepayment of the financial assistance grant, which I'll talk about in a little bit more detail. Total capital expenditure, including commitments, represents 87% of the $95 million budget, and end of month cash balance is $70.5 million, which includes $30 million of fixed term investments. All right, a couple of reasons for the variances. A lot of the same stories we've been saying for the last couple of months. So your rates and utilities revenue greater than budget by just under $100,000, largely due to higher than budgeted water consumption. Fees and charges revenue greater than budget expectations by just under $300,000, with $530,000 generated in the month of June. This is largely driven by our transfer stations and our cemeteries. Interest revenue greater than budget by $200,000, and just to note, we have driven just under $3.5 million of interest from our investments that we make throughout the year. So yes, interest rates have helped us there, but it is really great to have a proactive investment strategy there. So the key driver for our performance this financial year is the timing differences in the operating grants and contributions. So in the report, there's kind of a whole list of different grants that we are currently, we haven't recognised as much revenue as what we thought we would at this time of the year. So what does that mean? That means we just haven't spent that money, which then means we can't have recognised the revenue. And it really is a timing difference. So a whole heap of grants there. You've got your Works for Queensland, your DRFA Reaper Works, your CAT-D, CAT-C, and then the 1 Mile Creek dredging project. So they're kind of all under where we thought we'd be, and then to offset that, we received the 25-26 50% of that financial assistance grant early. So we had a couple of days notice right at the end of the 24-25 financial year, and we've received 50% of that early. So our budget said we would receive it all in the 25-26 financial year. We've received some of it early, so there'll be a decision to be made at Budget Review 1 if we reforecast the next few years, i.e. bring 50% of all those grants forward. So that'll be a discussion at BR1 for councillors.
And further to that, or just a comment, is that all councils have been lobbying to the government to try and get a consistent timing for that grant, because it does play around with everybody's figures and makes things a little bit argy-bargy. So we will continue that lobbying to try and get that made, that time frame made a permanent time frame. But yes,
yeah,
thank you.
Through the chair, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not just Queensland government that's affected; it's all local governments in Australia. So we'll see a lot of surpluses this year, whereas 24-25 and 25-26 might be impacted the other way, which is unfortunate. All right, employee expenses, wages and salaries continues to track under budget, so we're kind of in line with that 10% attrition rate. However, total employee expenditure is still over budget, and that's largely as a result of additional allowances over time, which were greater than the prior year actual expenditure. Something to note is, though, there has been a reduction in the contract labour, which has then driven higher overtime for us. So we're using our own internal workforce through overtime rather than getting contract labour in. Materials and services is related to the point I said about operating grants and surplus, operating grants. So like I said, we are spending less. We have spent less money in the areas that we get external funding for. So it means your materials and services is lower, which also means your operating grants is lower. And it really is a timing difference in which we've reincorporated into the 25-26 budget a new forecast for all these operating grants and the related expenditure. And the last real point to touch on for the operating side is your finance costs. So this is really an end of year adjustment we've done. Finance costs are over budget for the year by $673,000. So I've written in the report there is a confidential nature to some of this discussion, so I've tried to keep it high level, but we've had internal conversations about this. just so people are aware, it basically relates to unpaid rates and charges, and we don't believe that we will be able to recover this. So best practice says that as soon as we kind of are aware that we don't believe we will recover unpaid rates and charges, we then raise a provision, which then means when we are looking to write off, it has less impact on the P&L at that time. I put a definition of a provision into the report if anyone does want to understand it a little bit more. But as I said, we've had internal conversations and hopefully that's all pretty clear. Capital Works programme did cover 340 projects in the 24-25 financial year. We actually spent $58.5 million of the $95 million capital budget, which represents about 62% of the total budget. If we include commitments, this rises to 87%, so a good overall result for our Capital Works programme. At the time of writing this report, which is slightly outdated now, the total carryover estimate for the 24-25 financial year was about 36 million. I believe it's now about 34 million. And just to explain that, we are, as of kind of from the 1st of July till really today, yesterday, we're receiving accruals, we're receiving invoices, so we're kind of, those numbers are constantly changing and we might need to push invoices back into the prior year, which haven't been captured in this report. Just to highlight a couple of savings realised across the water main projects of about $1 million. Commercial had a carryover of about 12.2 million, infrastructure of 22.1 million, which includes DRFA of 7.4 million, and corporate and communities of just over $600,000. Again, just to highlight, there's a borrowings table in this report to just show the 3 different loans we have currently outstanding, and then cash balance. Total cash is at about just under 40 million, with 30 million of an additional 30 million invested in fixed term investments, ranging anywhere from between 4.3% interest to about 4.8% interest. So some good interest rates still being achieved if we lock that money away for a few months. So the recommendation is that Council receive and note the 24-25 interim financial performance report for June 2025.
Thank you. Are there any comments? Sorry, I just wanted to ask, Mr. CEO might want to answer this, but given that we've now supplemented overtime for contract labour, does this see us have a saving? I know it still goes over, but
yeah, through the chair, when forecasting the budget for the 24-25 financial year, we saw a 10% attrition attached to our salary and wages budget. So that's a reduction of about $3.3 million. We did that, so there was a target, and I guess a stretch target for council to ensure that we effectively maintain the salary and wages, and pleased to see that the salary and wages budget has come in just slightly under that target. But yeah, in the budget last year, we significantly reduced the contract labour, and we have seen an increase in our overtime and providing that to some of our own employees. Yep. But there's also been an impact and from the weather events we've had in February, which has seen more of the wet weather allowances hit those accounts, and also overtime for some of those emergent works that we had to do, and the counter disaster works that we've undertaken. So some of that will also be offset. But I think when comparison to the actuals we saw last year, the overtime and the figures we're looking at for allowances aren't significantly higher than the actuals last year, the budget figure that we put in this year. So I think as we've worked through that budget process for 25-26, there's been a much more robust view of overtime, and particularly you look at our waste space in particular, where we have used contract labour in the past. It's a 7-day business where we do have overtime portion to those staff that are working on Saturdays and Sundays.
For sure. And the other thing I keep going back to every time, because I have had the comment on many occasions about the $70 million in cash that we've got in the bank. Can you just please explain that there is an obligation for council to have to keep? Is it 3 or 4 months? Through the chair. Look, local governments are measured by the state on our financial sustainability, and that measure is at least having 4 months worth of cover. If something does go wrong, we need to be able to pay our staff, pay our contractors, and pay our bills. So
we sit above that, but again, if you look at how that cash that is sitting there is being invested in this year's, in the 24-25 interim financial performance report, it indicates it's generated over $3.4 million in interest. So, that interest is income coming into council that we don't need to derive from ratepayers, and would equate to probably over a 10% rate rise. So it is being used for good purpose. Obviously, we have reduced that forecast in 25-26 as those interest rates are also reducing. So we have to work harder at making sure that we are monitoring cash flow and that we're investing our funds to get the best return for council and for our ratepayers.
Very good, thank you. No further comments? Move. Seconded by Councillor Jessup. Thank you. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Thank you very much. Move on to 5.2, Annual Procurement Policy Review, and Mr McKevitt will present. Good morning.
Morning, councillors, Mr CEO. Radio Annual Procurement Policy Review. So, Section 198 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 provides that council must prepare and adopt a policy about procurement, which is this procurement policy, and that must include details of the principles, including sound contracting principles, that our local government will apply in the financial year for purchasing goods and services. And the regulation actually says that that policy must be reviewed annually. So the purpose of this report is to recommend to council a revised procurement policy that includes some new additions this year. So one of those is the implementation of some more detailed procurement procedures that sit as an appendix at the back of that policy. Essentially that is to guide officers and to increase clarity on how they are to procure goods and services. We're also in this policy driving a recommitment to local expenditure through our local content piece. So the above amendments to the policy reflect council's commitment to enhance strategic oversight and accountability of our procurement activity and expenditure, raise procurement capability and standardised approach of our officers when conducting procurement activities, facilitate increased value for money outcomes, and then further strengthen our commitment, as I said previously, to local suppliers through improved transparency and visibility of council opportunities. So the recommendation for that is that council adopt the updated procurement policy, reaffirming its commitment to the development and support of local business and industry. As you'll have seen in the report, the amendments are in the attachment, and there's also the attachment to the Procurement Review Board terms of reference there that's still in operation. About a year now, and we're constantly improving on that as well.
Any questions? I've got a question. I note in the risk implications that it says reduce visibility and transparency of council opportunities for local suppliers. Why would that be?
Sorry, where's risk implications?
Reduce visibility and transparency of council's opportunities for local suppliers.
That's if we don't adopt.
If we don't adopt it. Okay, very good.
If we don't adopt
That's
this.
good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Baines.
I'm very happy to move this recommendation, but with a few comments, I'd just like to thank the team for the great work's been done in this procurement space. I've seen procurement within the Cassowary Coast Regional Council really mature, especially in the last recent times, from where it was when I first started within the organisation. So congratulations to yourself, Mr McKevitt, but also the director and the team that work in this space, because it's giving real line of sight to where we're going, and with the piece that's attached to it next. And of course we can't predict where that's going to go, but there's a lot of strength now around working with our suppliers. I actually had a conversation with Mr McKevitt this morning about a brand new contractor to our region. So Mr McKevitt is already committed to reaching out to them. So it's a great piece of work, and please continue the good work. It's amazing the stuff that we do. So well done.
Thanks, Councillor.
Thank you.
I'll pass it on to the team.
Have a seconder? Councillor McLeod? Yeah, sure.
Thank you, through the chair. Big push when I first got into council regarding, I had a lot of kickback from local suppliers at why we were getting out of towners, and it's a true compliment to the team for listening to our ratepayers, because they are the ratepayers as well, and keeping as much as we can local, as long as it's, what we've got in this procurement policy. We're not just going to support them if they're going to be like 3 times the amount of an an out-of-towner. So I compliment the team, and we are listening to our ratepayers and supporting our local businesses. So thank you so much.
I guess that's why the building and adopting of policies is very important within the local government area, as it just sets out the guidelines for everybody to follow, and it keeps it persistent across the board. Okay, very good. So those in favour? Carried, thank you. Back over to you, Mr McKevitt.
Stay here. Item 5.4, we've got the forward procurement plan, which builds off the last report in the procurement policy. And that's the procurement plan for the 25-26 financial year. So this forward procurement plan outlines all anticipated significant procurement activities, that's a bit of a mouthful, for council's expenditure this year. So in development of this plan, we've outlined 65 anticipated procurement activities, and that's across our capital budgets, operational, and any grant-funded initiatives as well. So the reason this has been developed is to enhance transparency, enable that early market engagement, especially with our local suppliers, and improve our internal planning to support that timely project delivery. Not only that, it also allows our councillors to have a strategic overview of council's upcoming procurement activities, and for us internally as a team to have a look at that workload and see what we need to be getting up to. So in summary, the 25 forward procurement plan demonstrates council's commitment to sound financial management, local economic development, and responsible governance of its external procurement activities. Just a bit of background on this report. We introduced this last year, 2024, as part of our policy review. So this is the second year we're doing this. We've seen it's a lot smoother this year. We've still got a way to go in pulling it together. It's a council-wide approach. We're looking at every department, all of our expiring operational contracts, etc. And just as a bit more of a breakdown for that 65 significant procurements, we're looking at 48 in the capital project space and 17 in the operational procurement renewal space. So again, the plan is an important tool to support good decision making, manage our workload, and meet our legislative and policy requirements. So recommendation on that one is that council receive and note the forward procurement plan, which details council's anticipated tenders and contracts for the 25-26 financial year.
Moved by Councillor Chewy. More of a comment, Mr McKevitt, though. This is supports better coordination across different sections of council.
Correct.
Maybe that are working on the same project.
Correct.
So, yeah, good job. And also, this is an opportunity for those that want to work for council to get on there and have a look at what might be coming up.
Yeah, just to,
It's all there on the website for them to have a look at.
yeah, just to reiterate, it will be published obviously in this report and
Yeah.
also on our tenders and quotes page on the external website.
Very good. Councillor Jessup?
Yeah, I just have a comment, Mr McKevitt. If someone has a specialty supply, how do they just contact council or you yourself? Or?
Yeah, so there's two avenues there. So just through the chair, if anyone's interested in any opportunity off this forward procurement plan, I'd strongly encourage them to email through to council, either through that inquiries email or straight to purchasing. We will note that, and when that's released, we'll get a note. But the best way to do that would be to sign up to vendor panel. So vendor panels are e-tender box, which we release all of our opportunities on. As soon as that gets released, they'll get a trigger straight to their email that they've signed up for. So the most efficient way for any interested supplier is to sign up to vendor panel or contact council, and we'll help them through that process.
And with vendor panel, that is a link on our website, correct?
Yeah.
Thank you.
No worries.
Do we still do those have those opportunities to educate community how to become a supplier, and 2 weeks' time there's one?
Yes, we've got a couple, one on the 29th and then one on the 31st of August.
Are they online also?
Yes, one's
Yeah,
online through
okay.
MS Teams. Again, tenders and quotes page on the external
Okay.
website. It's all there. And at any time, any supplier has any questions, they feel free to reach out to the team and someone will assist.
Okay, very good. You have a seconder? Second, Councillor Jessup. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Back over to you again.
Okay, best to last. 5.5, we have sole specialised confidential nature services supplier list for 2025. So the purpose of this report is to recommend a list of suppliers the council may enter into a contractual arrangement with without first inviting written quotes or tenders. So this comes from section 235 of the local government regs, and that states that a local government may enter into a medium-sized or a large-sized contractual arrangement without first inviting written quotes or tenders if A, the local government resolves that it is satisfied there is only one supplier who is reasonably available, or B, the local government resolves that because of the specialised or confidential nature of the services, it would be impractical or disadvantageous for the local government to invite quotes or tenders. So the intent of that provision in the regs is to promote administrative and practical efficiency by allowing our officers to procure goods and services where there's only one reasonable supplier or there's a historical confidential nature of those services. So this year we have, obviously this is done annually, so our team sit down and review this list annually, and we also get nominations from any officers that identify this need throughout the year. This year we've got 11 new additions that are being recommended for council consideration, and we have removed 11 as a result of that 2025 review. So this is a council-wide approach, and obviously it does take a bit of time to pull this together from the team, but it's worth doing that full review annually.
That was my only question. My question was how often was a review, but you've already answered that.
And just to be clear, this might not cover the whole gambit. Throughout the year, there may be more requests to council for those one-off suppliers that pop up through the year.
So what do they do in that instance? Do they just contact council and then we go through and have another review, or?
So through the chair, it would have to be a separate council meeting item and a separate resolution for that supplier, and the resolution would be adopt them to this list.
Councillor Littlemore? Been moved.
Oh, sorry, have I? I don't think I have.
No,
Apologies. No, I don't think I did. It's okay. The recommendation that council resolve in accordance with section 235A and 235B of the local government regulation that it is satisfied that the suppliers listed in the attachment are the sole or specialised or confidential nature services suppliers. Thank you, Trudy.
Moved by Councillor Littlemore. Councillor Chewy, yeah.
Through the chair. It sort of follows from your conversation. If the people want to challenge somebody on the list because they feel that they potentially could also do that role, is there a process? I mean, I'm assuming that, understanding that teams work very hard to get this right, but there might be somebody who feels they've been missed or that they ought to be considered as well. So the process is, as you discussed, they need to come to council and...
Yeah, so through the chair, obviously the purpose of that resolution is to ensure that councillors are comfortable with this list and do resolve that they are sole specialised or confidential nature. Obviously, we could miss something. I'm not saying we're perfect. If that does happen, suppliers are encouraged to contact through to the inquiries line or to purchasing, and we can resolve that.
Through the chair, I was going to say it's not an exhaustive list of every sole supplier that's out there. It's really the activities or the materials that council's procuring where we deem that to be a sole supplier. And some are as simple as when we advertise a job, we use Seek, and most people go to Seek, so it's hard to find another opportunity. And some can be as straightforward as a traditional owner group where we're seeking advice from them, or some sort of heritage or cultural advice where they are the knowledge holders. So it can vary, very broad list of providers.
Thank you. Any further comments? Councillor Baines.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I just think it's important to reiterate, and I mean these three resolutions in a row around the procurement stuff, but also that it's an active piece of work that we are constantly improving and constantly working on. And again, I'm going to go back to the director and her team in this space, the great works that they're doing. And yep, keep it up. And if people have issues, just reach out and talk to us. We're very human. We're very open to conversations. We can have those conversations. So, excellent work.
Thank you. All those, have you got a comment? No? Those in favour? Nicholas? Thank you. All in favour? Thank you. Have a great day. 5.5 Audit Committee meeting. This will be presented by Ms Kerr.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Ms Kerr.
Good morning.
I'm short, I need everything close. Thank you. The Council Audit Committee meets quarterly, each financial year to review matters relating to the operational risks and control measures detailed in its internal audit plan, as required by the local government regulation. The committee's last meeting was held on the 11th of June. The background of the report contains a chairperson's summary of that meeting, and key items discussed included the internal audit program, the external audit, financial reporting, including the draft financial statements and key accounting matters, risk management and compliance, and an update to the Audit Committee Charter, which is also subject to my next report in today's agenda. The recommendation is that the unconfirmed minutes, which include relevant matters discussed at the Cassowary Coast Regional Council Audit Committee meeting held on Wednesday the 11th of June 2025, be received. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments? Councillor Baines.
Thank you, Chair. This isn't the sexy stuff within council. There's a lot of comments around finance and auditing being very dry. It's something I really enjoy, but that's just weird, Councillor Baines. I do enjoy that. I would suggest that it's wonderful to see that councillors have been coming along and observing this. And this is another great step towards the transparency, and because now we've got the chair's report. It's almost like a communique post the meeting where you're not trying to run through the entire minutes and see what was going on and where stuff was going. So it's a great piece of work and another good step forward for the Audit Committee. So I'm very happy to move the motion.
And it actually is a very thorough going over of everything that council does. So if you are interested, the report that is written there by the chair is a good glow of what's happening within council. So if you're interested, have a look at that. Oh, look, it's truly amazing the amount of ground that's covered in an audit committee meeting. So moved by you, Councillor Baines. Councillor Jessup, second. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Ms Kerr will present the policy review also.
Thank you. So yes, at that Cassowary Coast Audit Committee meeting held on the 11th of June, the members considered some officers' recommended changes to the Audit Committee Charter, and also requested amendments including a risk management maturity assessment report, a compliance and ethics update, meeting attendance, and annual committee performance evaluation amendments. The Audit Committee policy and the internal audit policy were due for their cyclical review with no recommended amendments to those two documents, and the Audit Committee Charter itself is attached with track changes. And the recommendation is that Council adopt the following policies: Audit Committee policy, Audit Committee Charter, and internal audit policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments, guys? No comments? Councillor Littlemore, happy to move it. Thank you. That was my bad. See, I started a conversation before Mr McKevitt got to move, so My bad, sorry about that. Councillor Baines. Those in favour? Thank you, carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Move on to 5.7, Animal Management Systemic Inspection Program. And Miss Lampard will present. Sounds very serious.
Morning, Madam Mayor.
Good
Morning,
morning,
councillors.
how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Yes, Council's local law team are proposing a proactive approach to animal management by conducting a systematic inspection program. So we've experienced this year an increase in the amount of dog attacks, increase in the amount of dogs wandering, increase in the amount of impoundings, and also a slight reduction in the amount of dogs that are registered. Previous experience indicates that a systematic inspection program certainly increases the amount of dogs that are registered, but gets people to recognise their responsibility when it comes to animal management. The recommendation that we're putting forward today, excuse me, is that Council approves a systematic inspection program in accordance with Section 134 of the Local Government Act 2009 as follows. 1. For the purpose of checking on legislative requirements for keeping animals, such as the number of animals being kept, dog registration and fencing. The commencement date for the program will be the 1st of September 2025. Properties inspected include all urban and rural residential properties within the local government area, and the period for the program is 3 months, so it'll be September, October, November at this stage.
Councillor Chewy.
Thank you. Good morning. Through the chair, just 2 questions. Obviously, we have a huge geographical space to cover, and you've got 3 months. Are you targeting known hotspots because reports from customer requests? That's my first question. And then also, we hear the words working dogs tossed around quite loosely by some people, that they're allowed to have this many dogs because they're working dogs. Could you provide some clarity on what is a working dog, and does checking that they are working dogs part of this report? Thank you.
Okay, through the chair. In regards to the first question, we will take a holistic approach to carrying out the program, but we certainly have priority areas, and we will look at the data that we've got, the registration data, our complaint system. We do have a limited amount of time and a very limited budget, so it will be quite targeted. In relation to your second question, so a working dog, under the Animal Management Act, the definition of a working dog is a dog usually kept or proposed to be kept on rural land, so it must be on rural land. The owner must be a primary producer or a person engaged or employed by a primary producer. And they must be primarily kept for the purpose of droving, protecting, tending or working of stock, or being trained in droving, protecting and tending of working of stock. It does not include a regulated dog or dog under the regulation as prescribed. Yes, we will be checking on working dogs. We have some working dogs registered with us. We have a process of assessing the validity of a working dog, so that will be part of it, yes.
So further to Councillor Chewy's comment around the 3-month period, should we need longer, we can come back and make a budget allocation and review the time frame to continue that service.
Yes, through the chair, absolutely. We will see how far we get in the 3 months. We know we won't get through the whole Shire in that time, but it gives us an opportunity to assess how we're going. We can come back to council and propose another program early next year.
And given the amount of increased dog attacks and unruly dogs within the Shire, it's really we can't stress enough that if you're a dog owner that you need to be responsible about that. Like, it's your responsibility to make sure that they're on a lead or they're in your yard, or if they happen to have a tendency to be aggressive, that they're managed appropriately. Like, not everybody likes Granny Smith's dog, so it's your dog and it's your responsibility at the end of the day. So Can't stress that enough. Councillor Chewy.
Sorry, just thought process. This time of year, our caravan parks are full, and some of those parks do in fact allow dogs on site. And that has been troublesome for some, in some situations. Do we have any capacity to check on the dogs in the parks? Just random, I know I put you on the spot, but I just thought of it because it, yes, thank you.
Through the chair. We can certainly look at that and see how we go operationally, yeah.
Any further comments on? No?
No,
Councillor Baines?
great piece of work. This is very worthwhile of the investment, and following your comments as well, Chair, if we need to increase the investment in this space, you know, it's a good thing to do. And again, highlighting your further comments, look after your dogs, you know, they're your dogs. Make sure you're doing all the right things, and make sure you pick up bags as well with you as you're walking. I will say the management of dog walking on the path in front of where I reside has been quite, you can see an improvement within that, so it's been quite significant. So I'm hoping that a program like this, with the systematic approach, encourages people to be responsible and look after your little mates. That's what they're there for. Yeah, or big mates, whichever you choose.
Moved by Councillor McLeod. Second by Councillor Baines. Those in favour? Thank you. Carried.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Move on to 5.8, water restrictions policy, and Ms Bull will present.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So item 5.8 relates to our water restrictions policy review. So council is committed to ensuring its policies are reviewed and updated on a regular basis. Water restrictions policy has been reviewed, and where applicable, updates have been implemented. Regularly reviewing policies and procedures keeps councillors, council staff and other stakeholders up to date with regulations, technology and industry best practices. Policy review ensures that policies remain consistent, current, relevant and effective, while also providing clarity to the reader when dealing with accountability issues or activities that are critical importance to council, such as health and safety, legal liability, regulatory requirements, or issues that have serious consequences. So for this one, the background is really just that the objective is to ensure that we have a policy to establish an approval process for implementation of water restrictions across the Cassowary Coast Regional Council. Minor administrative changes in this version that we've reviewed, and really they only relate to correct naming conventions. We've updated it from the directorate where it used to sit under the Director of Infrastructure Services. It now sits under the Director of Commercial Services, and then just naming all of the relevant parties that the scope applies to in terms of users of potable water. So the recommendation is that council adopt the water restrictions policy.
Thank you. Councillor Purven, you'll move it. Councillor Baines.
Happy to second with some comments. So great work, Ms Bull. It's good to see this stuff move across. And we get a lot of comments out of community because we live in the wettest part of the world, of Australia, and why do we have all these things in place? But it's not a simple process to get safe potable water to people's taps in their houses where they just turn them on and everything's covered. So I mean, the water restrictions policy is only one piece of that, but it's also an important piece of it around whether it be turbidity or whether it be water levels. We have limited storage in our water supply, so this is a great piece of work, and good to see it on the table. Thank you.
Yeah, further that comment, I always say it doesn't just fall out of the sky and come out of your tap. So this relates to, restrictions relate to the amount of water that are in our reservoirs at that time. You know, at the time that could be getting low and we may not have had rain for a period. So it is necessary.
Yeah, 100%.
Councillor Jessup?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Ms. Bull, I see there are some exemptions to this policy. If you could explain some of those for me.
So, Section 5.4 talks to the exemptions. So it says that as a delegate of the Chief Executive Officer, the Director of Commercial can grant an exemption based on the following grounds. So for reasons of public health and safety, to allow the undertaking of essential works, minor or infrequent uses of water outside the restrictions, for example, any sporting or community events, or any other criteria deemed appropriate under the water supply conditions at the time. And that's itemised within the policy under section 5.4.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so any further questions, any further comments? It's been moved and seconded. Those in favour? Thank you. Move on to 5.9, rates. Sure, do we want to just take a short break for 5? Thank you. now will reconvene at 8 minutes past 10. 5.9, rates transition to paperless, and Ms Peters will present.
Hello all again.
Again.
All right, this is an update following the report that we brought to you in December 2024, provide an update post the competition that has now been announced. So a new campaign was launched from December 2024 through to June 2025, supported by a comprehensive communication strategy and a sign-up incentive for as the competition. So this is to get people onto our e-rates, so we have email addresses so we're able to communicate more effectively with our ratepayers. So we did a whole heap of different types of communications throughout this campaign, one of those being the VMS boards, which we saw a substantial spike in registrations as a result of this medium when that was put out end of May, beginning of June. So as at the 1st of July 2025, we had just under 5,000 ratepayers registered for e-rates, representing a major increase from the starting base of approximately 3,900 ratepayers. Competition was run with 5 ratepayers, each receiving a $500 credit on their July to December rates notice. Winners have now been publicly announced on social media and then contacted separately by the Rates and Revenue team. Just a reminder that printed notices will now receive a fee of $2.20 effective of the 1st of July 2025 to recover printing and postage costs, and email notices remain free. Ratepayers have until tomorrow to sign up to ensure that they don't have the $2.20 fee on their rates notice, which will come out on the 13th of August. This initiative supports the goals of Council's 2025 to 2030 corporate plan. And just a note that we have had sign-up sessions all week occurring in the libraries. There is one happening in 20 minutes in Mission Beach, and these were advertised over social media, public notices, and on our website. And so the recommendation is that Council note the continued transition to paperless for rates notices and the benefit that this brings to our ratepayers and the Council.
Thank you. Councillor Jessup.
Yes, good morning. Through the chair, there's been a lot of negative feedback on social media, especially, that the council want to be busybodies and get everyone's email address and things like that. This isn't about that. This is about saving council money and ratepayers money. Can you just elaborate a little bit more, just so we can get that positive feedback out there instead?
Yeah, for sure. So the $2.20 charge that we will be charging is a per rates notice. That's twice yearly. We do have to remember that actually when we set this fee, there's now been increases again in Australia Post to send out these letters. So we're actually not cost recovering, and we will continue to take a little bit of a hit there. But yeah, there is the Council are continually working towards becoming more efficient, more environmentally friendly, and we do try to recover our printing and postage costs from this. And there is an element of, yes, it is a better way to communicate with our ratepayers. We will absolutely not send any spam, anything like that. It can only be to do with rates that they would receive anything when they've signed up to their e-rates.
So further to that, with those comments, I did see some commentary as well. Could we supply a report maybe down the track, and I don't know, we couldn't do it right now because it's only just started, but maybe in 12 months do a review on what the saving is to ratepayers by doing this? Yeah, that would be interesting to see.
Absolutely.
I think that would be great.
Through the chair, we can commit to providing, if it might be a report after this rates run, and then another one in 6 months' time, so it could be a half-yearly thing that we can commit to. That would be great. Councillor Chewy.
Thank you. Through the chair, you talked about the library workshops, which is great. Obviously, some people can't go when they're available. Would you advise that ratepayers do go into our libraries? They then need to make a booking, assuming where they don't. So please don't expect our staff to be able to just facilitate their request straight away. So go into your local library, ask for an appointment, and whether you're a group of friends, maybe whether you're part of a club, go together and sit with the team, and they'll guide you through the process. It really doesn't take long. 2 seconds and the job was done. So it's great. Thank you.
from the charge.
Sorry, I have another question. I can't quite remember, but is there an exemption for pensioners?
Yes, there is. Yep.
Sorry. Yep. Okay, great. Happy to move. Moved by Councillor Chewy. Seconded by Councillor Jessup. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. 5.10, operational plan, and Mr Gruffin will present.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. This report talks to Council's 24-25 operational plan, which was adopted by Council on the 26th of June 2024. The operational plan outlines the activities undertaken during the 24-25 financial year, which contribute to the achievement of the strategies outlined in Council's corporate plan. So the fourth quarter review is presented in this report, and if I can, I'd just like to run through a couple of highlights from that report. The report provides and breaks down the initiatives into operational initiatives, success measures, provides advice around which lead department and when the work is expected to be undertaken, and this report provides commentary around each of those items. So for ease of reading, there's a status initiative there for projects that are on track, achieved, those that we would like to need to monitor, and any that are off track. Under the community, our people goal, I'd just like to touch on a couple of operational initiatives there. So Initiative 1 talks to the development and adoption of the Corporate Plan 25 to 2030. And this is under our governance, risk and performance. So we're pleased to say that the Integrated Corporate and Operational Plan for 25 to 2030 was adopted at the LGM 12th of December 2024, and that new Integrated Corporate and Operational Plan was obviously informed by the over 3,000 residents that took part in Council's community scorecard. Initiative 3 is our Shop Mission Beach program, which was implementing and facilitating a business continuity through the construction period and minimise adverse impact on trading and community and visitor experience. The Shop Mission Beach program developed a website, a Facebook page. There was over $12,000 injected directly into businesses down through our Shop Mission Beach initiative, and the additional spend to that, but that equated to 1,200 independent visits just driven into that precinct through that process. Which has been a great outcome for some of the businesses there. We acknowledge how hard major construction projects like this can be on small business in our region. 4 was looking to develop and publish an annual forward procurement plan. Great to see again the forward procurement plan published today, but it was a big step for Council to over 60 items in that forward procurement plan last year, over $200,000, and those items all procured within the financial year. Item 9 talks to business continuity planning. Council's business continuity plans have been reviewed, completed, and the final documents are in place in the corporate document library. So just providing certainty for Council and community that should events hit Council, those continuity plans have been reviewed, and Council's operations will continue under those business continuity plans. 13 talked to delivering Council's community grants and support program. Again, a review today of the guidelines for that program, but we did see 100% of the community program and initiative stream being expended. Last year, that focus on the Anzac and the Battle of the Coral Sea round, 100% of that expended as well as the newly implemented community infrastructure grants. So these were larger grants provided for infrastructure through those community organisations which have entered into agreements with Council for the use of our facilities. The final one I wanted to highlight under people was 21, and this is around the establishment of the Cassowary Coast University Centre in Innisfail. So recall back in September 2023, Council first visited the centre that was up in the Tablelands, which had about 56 individuals that were taking advantage of what the centre provided, and it's great to see this year we've got 96 individuals engaging in the Cassowary Coast University Centre run by VPG through Council support. So If we move on to economy, I wanted to focus on 24, which is maintain council's small business friendly council charter, the commitments and receive annual endorsement from the Queensland Small Business Commissioner. There's been some great achievements, the Renew Cassowary Coast, the BizConnect sessions, the BizConnect hub that's been sent up, the business building events, the Small Business Friendly Council Roundtable, Small Business Month, and the Mission Beach Recovery Plan that was established as well. So we have over 3,000 small to medium enterprises in our region, and great to see that continued focus on that space. 25 was the Economic Development Advisory Committee. We, through the year, amended the name of that to the Economic Leadership Committee. That committee has been meeting regularly. It's taken, I guess, a higher level view of the regional chambers that have been operating within the region, getting out of some of the pothole politics and really advancing our region in that economic space. 32 was seek the declaration of the Port of Marillion Priority Development Area through planning and associated partnership discussions. Again, we've engaged BDO, the consultants there have undertaken a significant amount of consultation, and that business case to inform that declaration is well and truly underway. We have all acknowledged, and hopefully when we see the draft regional plan come out, it will also highlight the significance of and the strategic importance of the Port of Marillion. Having a deep water port closely associated with Mundu Aerodrome, heavy rail, and also the Bruce Highway is quite a unique opportunity for this region, and one that's critical that we secure some of the land around that for future development. Let's touch on a few under our infrastructure, our built environment. Item 35, or Initiative 35, was approval and contract award of the DRFA Cat B works associated with the event. These works now in excess of $45 million. TC Jasper and the associated flooding event caused significant impact on our region. Those works are well progressed, and obviously the compounding impact of the February 2025 flooding event has also hampered some of those recovery works through Jasper, but a significant amount of work added onto our teams to deliver, and the contractors that are supporting delivery of those works. 36, council consideration of the 2025 Transport Asset Management Plan, and pleased to see that plan being developed last year and coming to council today for consideration. It's our largest asset class, and providing the certainty to council around how we're funding the renewal of that large asset class certainly provides a better visibility around the sustainability of our region and our council in the long term. 38 was the practical completion of site works for Mission Beach CBD revitalisation. The CBD revitalisation is at this stage still on track for completion December 2025. Weather should remain, and we hope remains favourable as we move past or into the Tully Show and past the Tully Show towards the end of the year. Great to see some of those finishing amenity put into the village green, in particular, trees starting to go in, turf, footpaths. It starts to come to life as we get out of the ground. 40 was delivering over 6,000 metres of water main renewal, so this made even better by the fact that council was in receipt of over $8 million worth of WISER funding, so external funding to play catch up with some of these invisible assets that need to be renewed, a balance of delivery, and we ended up delivering over 7,000 metres through a mix of internal resources and external contractors. We're very blessed to have a great delivery team internally, but also to have some contractors locally that are delivering these projects to a high quality. The Cassowary Coast Regional Water Security Strategy and Levels of Service, so those water security assessments were completed during the year, and we have engaged consultants at the moment to look at that long-term water security assessment, so that will continue into the new year, the strategy, but ensuring, and we've seen the impact on Cairns recently with water security, ensuring that as the wettest place in the country, we still have those water security concerns. Obviously, when it does rain, it impacts turbidity, and as the Mayor pointed out, impacts water holdings in our reservoirs. 47 was practical completion of the Calendar Park stormwater renewal works, one of the more significant drainage structures and outlets that council have. The timing of these works was critical to ensure that works were delivered during the period of the year where there was the least likelihood of a rain event, and pleasing to see that these works were delivered with minimal impact to our drainage network and to residents. Further to that was the update of the regional flood model. Now this one is reported as at risk, and council officers had done a significant amount of work reviewing our flood model, taking in the empirical data that was received from the December 23 impacts of the flooding associated with TC Jasper. Obviously the 2025 flooding we saw both in Mission Beach predominantly and Cardwell was something that we hadn't seen before, and it certainly exceeded models that we had previously seen. So important to pause that, get the empirical data from that February flooding event and make sure that we include the impacts of both TC Jasper and the February flooding event. So team are working diligently on that whilst that's carried over to the financial year 26. The collation of the data from that flooding event in February will be critical to future planning and to give our community some informed information about our regional flood modelling. Under Region, our natural environment, 50 implement a new Cassowary Coast curbside collection contract. We now have JJ Richards undertaking our curbside contract. With that, importantly, item 53, the implementation of commingled recycling. So through Council's Think Yellow program, a significant project to be implemented across the region, diverting a significant amount of waste from landfills in the region. Importantly, to do that, as item 51 also talked to the commencement of the closure of the Tully open landfill. We're out of room in Tully. We have got capacity at our facility at Stodders Hill, but important now that what was dry waste, now commingled recycling, is being diverted through to the facility.
I just want to make sure people understand that that's the landfill, not the transfer station.
Tully transfer station is absolutely still operating.
Okay, very good.
59 talked to the framework developed for key stakeholder feedback, sought to be incorporated prior to council, and this was around our natural environment sustainability strategy. Look, the team has gone from strength to strength in this space. It was really pleasing to see, I think, over 100 community members come out for a tree planting, and what is a world first, looking at stacking ACCUs, the carbon credits, with biodiversity credits, and what better place to do a trial for Cassowary credits than the Cassowary coast. We even had a visit from a Cassowary during that day.
Came out, yeah, they showed their approval that day. Yes, they did.
Thank council for the adoption of that framework, which is really allowing that team to progress with some great initiatives. 64 was seek industry contribution for a coordinated approach to feral pig control, and we would still like to see more industry contribution. The work that the team have been doing in this space has been remarkable, coordinating efforts here, focusing on council land as well, and some of those peri-urban pigs that we are seeing integrating with some of our urban areas. But it's really pleasing to see Terrain NRM come on board and provide some additional funding.
I had 5 of them visit my place yesterday. Yeah, one was a brown one. It was the most ironic thing I've ever seen, a brown pig.
We can get Arthur and the team certainly working with some of the traps.
Come for a little wander they did, or cruising along.
Almost there. 67, development of a policy and action plan for consideration from council around mahogany guider conservation. So following on last year from the first, world first, the Cassowary conservation policy, focusing on another one of our endangered species within the region, the mahogany glider. That was adopted back in November. The last goal we had was organisation, our leadership and team, and we looked at facilitating and embedding a refreshed values and behaviours with community. We listened to the words that community had provided through that scorecard, and the new values for council, growing our own, really important in a number of ways across council, making it better, focus, embedding that focus on how do we make it better for our residents and the opportunity to make it better in the way that we deliver our services, being accountable to our community, about communicating and being kind of accountable from a financial aspect to our community, being courageous in the conversations we have, whether they be with the state, with the federal government, or at times even with our constituents within the region. And importantly, working smarter. We need to continue to innovate and work smarter because we see a continued increase in costs, and we see an continued increase in demand for services and the level of service across council, and important that we work smarter in that space. 70 was Adopt Council's workforce plan. I need to acknowledge the work of our Manager of People and Safety in bringing this to Council and Council's consideration, but providing a framework and a roadmap for the next 4 years as far as our workforce. Delivering an emerging and first-time leader training, including continued professional development plans for leaders across the organisation. This goes with growing our own. We often have issues recruiting externally due to the remote and extreme sort of weather we get here at times. A beautiful place to live, and it can be a strength sometimes in recruitment, but important we continue to invest in our own and grow our own leaders in this organisation. 74 was hold monthly standing meetings to review procurement plans and evaluation. We talked today about the implementation of the Procurement Review Board. It provides a number of gates for council prior to projects going to market, and then also prior to evaluation and council award of contracts. So it's been great to see that implemented, but now embedded within the organisation. And the final one, and one we're probably most proud of, is to sustain at least 18 apprenticeships and trainees across the local government, and we continue to secure state funding to do this. It was great last week to recognise our Apprentice of the Year, Hayden, and also Trainee of the Year, Logan. These individuals are the future of our organisation, and great also to see those two individuals in particular transition into to permanent employment with council following successful completion of their apprenticeships and trainees. There is a lot in there. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take questions. There is a recommendation there that council that the quarterly review of the 24-25 operational plan to 30 June 25 be received and its contents noted.
Thank you. I've got a comment to make about in infrastructure number 38 about the Mission Beach CBD revitalisation. I have been seeing lots of comments that are saying that it's behind time. Well, this project has practical completion date of December 2025, early 26. So I just wanted to put that back out there because it's not behind time. It is actually on time at the present time, apart from the few rainy days that they've lost, which is probably more than just a few, but they're still running on time. The other thing I wanted to make comment about was number 39, facilitate the application of equitable and reasonable principles when assessing the warrants and costs appointments for upgrading unsealed road to sealed road status, which we have done, and that is up and coming and will be great. But I continually get questions on the unsealed road pavement that we currently are using, and it's not the material viability, but the question is there the possibility that we can review alternate methods or solutions to make that better? How do we go about that?
I think through the chair, there's a continual improvement is something that the infrastructure team strive for, and we have QA on the material that's coming out of our quarries. We've had an external review on the specification that we seek from the quarries, but certainly talking with the director, there is an appetite for council to undertake some trials. There's certainly some historic practices that embedded in industry and some locals that are perceived to provide a better practice. We're happy to work through some of the practicalities about how we could trial those and provide some feedback. Our unsealed road network at the moment is in a good state. We've had probably the benefit of $40 odd million worth of works out of DRFA following the TC Jasper, and then probably moving into about another $18 million worth of works following the flooding event. So the accumulation of those two events is probably equivalent to 20 years worth of normal funding that that council would have. But council is open to investigations, and I think we would probably appreciate having some data and some feedback around some of these historic practices and whether they do present better outcomes for the drivability and the safety on our unsealed road network.
Well, I think by doing trials, you can rule out one at a time if it's better or if it's not better. So, if we haven't done a trial, then maybe we open ourselves to different methods and pavement types to see what, because what suits here doesn't always suit somewhere else, and there are not a lot of places that get as much rain as we do. Thank you for that. Any other comments? No more comments? Councillor Baines? Do you want to move it? Thank you. Councillor McLeod, second it. Those in favour? All in favour, thank you very much. Go to 5.11, Cassowary Coast Regional Council 129th Annual Local Government Association of Queensland Conference.
Thank you. Through you again, Chair. The Local Government Association of Queensland is a peak body for local government in Queensland. It's a not-for-profit apolitical association set up solely to serve councils and their individual needs. The LGAQ has been advising, supporting and representing local councils since 1896, allowing them to improve their operations and strengthen relationships within the communities. The association does this by connecting councils to people and places that count, supporting their drive to innovate and improve service delivery through smart services, sustainable solutions, and delivering them the means to achieve community, professional and political excellence. The 129th Annual Local Government Association of Queensland Conference will be held on the Gold Coast from the 20th to the 22nd of October 2025. The annual conference brings together Queensland local governments for networking, professional development, and to discuss the issues that matter to our communities. The annual LGAQ Advocacy Action Plan is a key focus at the conference and is the roadmap designed to highlight the top policy positions and funding priorities councils believe are critical to ensuring Queensland flourishes and our communities thrive. Each year, delegates from the Cassowary Coast Regional Council attend the conference to take forward matters of relevance for our community through advocacy motions, delegations and meetings, and to explore collaboration with all levels of government and focus on best practice outcomes that may be applied to council services within our community. The purpose of this report is to seek council's approval to submit motions for inclusion in the 2025 LGAQ conference agenda, and for councillors Millwood, Hervin, Baines, Jessup and McLeod to attend the LGAQ conference to submit the motions at this year's conference. Under the LGAQ protocol, resolutions must have been carried by the local government, and they have changed that those motions that have been put to LGAQ in the past 5 years cannot be moved again. They will continue to be advocated for. So whilst we have a number of motions today, the motions that have been presented over the last 4 years are still live and active. So does it mean they aren't priorities and they're not things that council's still acting for? Council's advocating in our advocacy plan, and the LGAQ on behalf of 77 local governments are advocating at a state and federal level. So there are 4 motions that are proposed to go to the LGAQ conference. I will just work through those. So motion 1 is talking to improving insurance outcomes for households and small businesses in flood-prone regions. So I think we've all heard about the impact of insurance premiums on residents, not just in the Cassowary Coast, but across Queensland and probably fair to say across the country. The motion asks that the LGAQ calls on the federal government to extend the claims period for cyclone-related flood damage from 48 hours to 168 hours to reflect the reality of flood behaviour and align with industry standards. So we saw with the flooding event through TC Jasper and associated flooding, the actual cyclone had passed our region within the 48 hours, and the flooding event as it sat there occurred in that other period, meaning that the cyclone insurance pool wasn't activated for that event. We're also seeking them to reduce duties and levies on insurance premiums to improve affordability and to expand access to mitigation incentives, so including an extension of eligibility for the Household Resilience Program. So more individuals can seek funding to ensure that their households have the ability to apply for that Household Resilience Program. The second motion that is proposed to go to the conference relates to enable fair and sustainable revenue from state-issued forestry and stock grazing permits. So the motion is seeking that the LGAQ lobby the Queensland Government to amend the Land Valuation Act 2010 to remove the legislative impediment preventing the Valuer General from declaring a separate valuation for land occupied under an occupation permit or stock grazing permit issued under the Forestry Act 1959. So we're all aware that to be able to rate a property, there needs to be a valuation. At the moment, due to the length of tenure provided under these permits to occupy, and these are grazing permits or forestry permits, the Valuer General doesn't provide a valuation for those properties, and hence Council, even though those under those permits are providing a commercial primary production outcome. Also seeking that to ensure that the Valuer General's guidelines issued pursuant to Section 54 of the Land Valuation Act are amended accordingly to enable valuations of such land for rating purposes. Why is this important for our region? Obviously, these are commercial operations, and at the moment, Council isn't able to generate revenue from these and generate rates from these, putting more of an impost on the other individuals that are undertaking particularly primary production on freehold land.
Well, we got 46% unrateable in the Cassowary Coast, so if we can pick up some of those, get them valuated, and then have them pay rates, and it helps out the rest of the ratepayers of the community.
The next two motions relate to some amendments that were made to the Planning Act 2016, and calling on that the LGAQ calls on the Queensland Government to amend the Planning Act 2016 so that state government is the assessment manager for all prescribed title works associated in Queensland, with local governments as advice agencies only. So the prescribed title works encompass various construction and demolition activities within tidal areas, typically activities conducted in, on or over tidal land, and these can be jetties, pontoons, boat ramps, seawalls, revetment walls, navigation channels and marina basins. So this would take this responsibility back from Council, where our planning teams are not specialists in these areas, and make the assessment manager again the State of Queensland, with local governments providing advice as an advice agency. And the final motion is seeking that the LGAQ calls on the Queensland Government to amend the Planning Act 2016 so that the state government is the assessment manager for all levy applications from categories 1 through 3, with local governments as advice agencies only. So levies are raised embankments or earthworks built to protect parts of the floodplain from inundation. They're designed to withstand certain river heights and will be overtopped by floodwaters which exceed this levy. Levies are constructed on many different scales and for different reasons. In Queensland, levies are sometimes built around entire townships by local governments, often with additional funding from the state and federal government for protection from floodwaters. Well-known Queensland levy examples are in Goondiwindi, Charleville and Roma. Small-scale levies are commonly built by individual landowners, developers and farmers on their properties to protect particular areas, for example, crops from flooding. Sometimes a group of individuals combine to construct a levy to protect a group of properties. Construction or modification of levies is regulated by state planning laws. The level of assessment required depends on the potential impact of the levy. So why council should not be the assessment manager for levies? Queensland councils often face skill shortages in levy assessments due to the complex technical and cross-disciplinary nature of levy design, regulation and risk management. The technical complexity, levy assessments require hydrology and hydraulic assessment, geotechnical engineering, structural design, flood modelling and risk assessment. Many councils, especially regional or smaller councils, do not have in-house experts in these fields and rely on consultants and state agencies for this assessment. So the request there is again for the assessment manager to be transferred through the Planning Act 2016 from the local government for categories 1 through 3 to the state of Queensland. So there is a recommendation there that authorises the Chief Executive Officer to submit the following motions to the 2025 Local Government Association of Queensland Annual Conference, with all motions to include supporting information. So that is 1, improving insurance outcomes for household and small business; 2, enable a fair and sustainable revenue from state-issued forestry and stock grazing permits; 3, amendment of the Planning Act for prescribed title work assessment manager to be transferred to the Queensland Government; and 4, amendment of the Planning Act for levy application assessment manager to be transferred to the Queensland Government. Finally, approve the attendance of Councillors Millwood, Purven, Baines, Jessup and McLeod to attend the 129th Annual Local Government Association of Queensland Conference, which is held at the Gold Coast Convention Centre from the 20 to 22nd of October 2025, and that registrations, travel and accommodation costs be allocated from the Councillors' Conference 25-26 operational budget allocation. I just want to comment that we don't need that resolution. Council do have a allocation for conferences. We put that out there, and that's what we understand. But if things change, some of those attendees may change. But at this stage, that they're the attendees that we predict will be attending the conference in October this year.
I just wanted to add to that, so the importance of the motions is probably the most important thing at the conference. And given that we've got 4 motions, there are other motions that we vote on at the conference that are in relation to matters that also relate to other councils. So what they do is if there's motions that are similar or the same, they all get moulded into one. It's to be there and to be able to vote on the motions and speak to the motions is probably one of the most important parts of the session. But I just wanted to reiterate that. Okay. Thank you. You want to move it? Councillor Chewy moved it. Councillor Purven seconded it. Those in favour? You're not in favour? You're against? Okay. So that's recorded. Councillor Littlemore's against it. Carried, thank you. We move on to 5.12, October 2025 local government meeting date.
Through the Chair, under the Local Government Regulation 2012, public notice of meetings, Council is required to advertise details of its meeting dates and times. Council had set the meeting dates for this year prior to the dates being confirmed for the LGAQ annual conference, which we've just talked about, will be commencing the week starting 20 October 2025. So this report is proposing that we reschedule the October LGM. It's proposed that the local government meeting be rescheduled to Thursday, 30 October 2025. This is to provide councillors with sufficient time to review the agenda and inform themselves around the agenda, and to undertake the agenda briefing prior to the council meeting. So there is a recommendation there, and that is that council reschedule the October local government meeting to Thursday, 30 October 2025, to be held at the Tully Council Chambers, commencing at 9 a.m. And notes that in accordance with the Local Government Regulation 2012, Section 254B 1-4, public notice of meetings, the Chief Executive Officer will provide local public notice of the October 2025 local government meeting date.
Thank you. Move. We have someone to second that. Councillor Purven. Those in favour? Thank you. Item 513, petition, request for equitable consideration of ratepayer impact flowing on from the 2025 land valuations.
Thank you. Through the Chair, I'll take this one. Council's received a petition from Miss Eve Taddy as the principal petitioner in relation to a request for equitable consideration of ratepayers' impact following the 2025 land valuations. The petition contained 135 signatures. The petition stated, we the undersigned residents petition the council and ask that 1, commit to a thorough review of the category statement used to determine general rates with particular attention to whether landholders have been fairly and appropriately categorised under the new valuations. 2, re-evaluate the dollar rate for each category during budget discussions, considering land valuation increases to prevent unfair financial burden on the community. 3, implement a cap or freeze mechanism on rates increases to ensure landowners are safeguarded from excessive or disproportionate rate hikes resulting from land valuation changes. And 4, ensure complete transparency regarding the consideration of valuation changes in the development of the 25-26 council budget and include community representatives whenever possible in the consultation process. So this report receives the petition and provides a recommended response. So Council at its special budget meeting held Wednesday 25th of June 2025 adopted the 25-26 budget, including the revenue policy and revenue statement. This petition was received after those budget documents had been developed. Luckily, hopefully we can demonstrate that the asks there from the community were a consideration of Council through that process. The Queensland Government's Valuer General issued new land valuations, with land values in the Cassowary Coast increasing by an average of 37.33%. Council understands this has raised concerns about potential increases in rates. In response, Council has taken action by reducing the rate in the dollar, one part of that calculation that we are required to use to determine rates, to help offset the impact of rising land values. This adjustment is part of our commitment to easing cost of living pressures and ensuring ratepayers are not unfairly burdened by the valuation change. For the first time, Council has introduced rates capping for residential ratepayers. This means that even if a property's land value has increased significantly above the average, that 37.33%, the general rates charged will not rise by more than 15%, and this is on residential properties, compared to the last year. These changes reflect the complexity of this year's valuations and highlight the importance of taking a fair and financially responsible approach to setting of rates. To provide additional support, Council has maintained the 5% on-time payment discount for all ratepayers and a $300 concession for pensioners in recognition of the financial pressure faced by some of our most vulnerable residents. Council also recorded a $2.9 million operating deficit in this year's budget. Now, this deficit is non-cash and reflects a strategic decision to avoid raising rates unnecessarily. The increase is due to higher depreciation costs following a revaluation of our water and sewerage assets. As depreciation is a non-cash expense, Council will not be raising rates to cover it. Thanks to our strong financial ratios as set out in the Local Government Sustainability Framework, Council are in a position to absorb this rather than pass it on to ratepayers, reflecting our commitment to fairness and long-term financial sustainability. For clarity, the 4 dot points raised in the petition, together with officers' comments, are presented in the report. So 1 was commit to a thorough review of the category statement used to determine general rates, with particular attention to whether landholders have been fairly and appropriately categorised under the new valuations. Comment is, Council's budget preparation ensured extensive modelling when finalising the revenue statement, which contains the differential rating categories. This included updating the banding of residential categories and the introduction of a new category 30, extractive. 2, re-evaluate the rate in the dollar for each category during budget discussions, considering land valuation increases to prevent unfair financial burdens on the community. The comment, Council during budget preparation considered the rate in the dollar for each differential rating category when finalising the 25-26 budget. Rate in the dollar has reduced for every category, with every residential category reducing by at least 17%, mitigating the impacts of land valuation increases. Number 3 was implement a cap or freeze mechanism on rate increases to ensure landowners are safeguarded from excessive and disproportionate rate heights resulting from land valuation changes. Comment was, Council has implemented capping for the first time, ensuring that general rates charged for residential categories will not be more than the 15% compared to last year. 4 was ensure complete transparency regarding the consideration of valuation changes in the development of the 25-26 council budget and include community representatives whenever possible in the consultation process. The committee's elected members are involved in extensive budget workshops in preparation of the budget each year. Councillors are elected to represent the community and to be the voice of the people who elect them. Council also took into consideration the recommendations from the Rating Advisory Committee, the membership of which comprised community members together with industry bodies. There is a recommendation there, councillors, and the recommendation is to receive the petition titled Request for Equitable Consideration of Ratepayer Impact following the 2025 land valuations, and for council to provide a formal response to the petition addressing each of the 4 points as per council's adopted budget 25-26 and associated policies and revenue statement.
Thank you. Happy to move it, Councillor Jessup. Councillor Bain, second.
Just a quick question.
Yeah, sure.
So the formal response will be really about the responses that were in the report, yes? And then that'll be sent formally to them.
Absolutely, providing that back to the principal petitioner, and obviously the report will be made public with the minutes.
Yep, thank you very much.
Councillor Littlemore.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. CEO, just a quick question. Do you recall when the petition was received?
The petition was received, I understand, 2 or 3 days before we handed our budget down, so I think it came into council. We handed the budget down on the 25th, so the 22nd, but I'd have to take that on notice to give you the exact date.
Thank you.
I thought it was the 24th when I had a look, but I can't be quite sure. But
just prior to the
yeah.
special budget meeting, but after 24th, sorry, yeah. Day before the special budget meeting.
Sorry, and through the chair, a lot of the signatures were dated in May, so the conversation that they've been having was prior to, around the land valuations, but before budget discussions were sort of the strong process.
it was very good to see that we must have all been on the same page for us to have implemented most of what they've asked for, and to see that, yeah, well, it's very good. Their input is valuable, and we thank them for that. Very good. So we've had a mover and a seconder. All those in favour? Very good, thank you. 5.14, request for leave of absence.
Through the chair, this is a fairly simple report. We've just got a request of leave of absence for Councillor Chris Littlemore. Councillor Littlemore has requested a leave of absence from the period from Friday 29 August to Wednesday 22 October 2025 inclusive. Councillor Littlemore has noted that he'll continue to monitor and respond to emails and remain informed of council business during this absence. Councillor Littlemore also plans to attend the local government meeting scheduled for 25 September 25 via Microsoft Teams, subject to stable internet connection. There's a recommendation there. The recommendation is that Councillor Chris Littlemore's leave of absence for the period from Friday 29 August 25 to Wednesday 22nd of October 2025 inclusive be approved.
Councillor McLeod.
Thank you, through the chair, and just a small comment. As we all know, that we are entitled to have some leave of absence. However, myself as a councillor is very mindful of how much leave I am taking compared to how much time I've served in my term as well. So, like I said, we are entitled to leave, but I just wanted to state that as we are responsible for our ratepayers and ratepayer dollars. Thank you.
So, Mr. CEO, could you clarify the legislation around councillors and leave or councillors' obligations, because there really are no specific.
Through you, Chair, yeah, unlike an employee, there isn't an entitlement to a set period of leave, and I think we've seen with other local governments where the requirement is to remain informed and participate where there's a absence from 2 or more consecutive local government meetings without an approved leave of absence, then the councillor's effectively terminated as a councillor or removed from office. But where there's a leave of absence, unlike what is proposed by Councillor Littlemore in this one, typically you can turn the phone off and it's council approving that period that the councillor will be out of contact. If you are remaining informed and answering emails technically or attending a meeting via Teams, there's no effective need for a leave of absence. I think in this example it's just best practice. It provides the awareness of the councillors' intentions and shows transparency. But for this, I understand the council will be attending the August LGM, remaining informed, intends to attend the September LGM via Teams, which is permissible, and we'll be back for the October LGM, which is will now be held on the 30th of October.
Very good. Happy to move it. Councillor Jessup, we have a seconder. Councillor Pervin, those in favour? You're not in favour. Councillor McLeod's not in favour. Thank you. We move on to 6.1, asset disposal to Cassowary Coast Cricket Association, and Mr. Valente will present.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Mr. Valenti.
We have been, or council officers have been working with the Committee of Cassowary Coast Cricket Association regarding their request for a grant of a facility use agreement for the lower oval at Goondy Bend Sports Reserve. That site's been used by junior cricket for, I think, decades. They wish to have some sort of short-term tenure so that they can plan some upgrades to that facility, which I think the pitches need upgrading. So they've requested a tenure. We've agreed to a short-term tenure arrangement for 2 years. The reason for it being a short-term arrangement is it gives Cassowary Coast Cricket additional time to investigate possible alternative sites for a permanent junior cricket facility. They've already looked at sites, particularly at the Innisfail State College, and also it gives us time to investigate the highest and best use for that site. It's a large freehold site, all this constrained by its history as a dump. So in those 2 years, we'll also investigate the highest and best use for that site, and if it should be, its highest and best use is it remains as a sporting oval, whether we grant a long-term tenure to a sporting club such as cricket, or if there's some greater or higher community use. So that's why the term of the agreement's for 2 years. The agreement doesn't require resolution. However, cricket have agreed to take back their assets, so that requires a resolution for the transfer of those assets back to back to the club. So it's our recommendation that we apply the exception contained in section 2361B2 of the Local Government Regulation to grant a facility use agreement to Cassowary Coast Cricket Association as a community organisation, which contains the following key terms. The user is Cassowary Coast Cricket Association. The facility is the lower oval at Goondy Sports Reserve, Leichhardt Street, Innisfail, which is part of Lot 1 on RP 719103 and Lot 2 on SP 248419. The term is for 2 years. As I mentioned, the fee is $1. There are no outgoings payable by the club. It's just mowed regularly as a community park. The permitted use is the cricket grounds and associated uses, and we transfer to the club all of our right entitlement to the improvements, with the cricket improvements on that site being the cricket pitches, cricket practice nets and fencing. Recommendation 2, authorise the CEO to execute the facility use agreement, and 3, authorise the CEO to take any necessary steps to ensure ongoing compliance with that agreement. That's it.
Any questions? Councillor Pervin.
Yes, thanks, Chair. Mr. Valenti, just in relation to that there, so you said that we'll continue to mow it as per normal as a normal park.
Yes.
If they require extra mowing, I presume this will be at the expense of the Cricket Association?
Through the Chair, yes, they'll either undertake the mowing themselves, or if they don't have capacity, they'll ask us and we will charge our normal rate for that additional mowing.
That's just in line with all our other user agreements, really, isn't it, as well?
Yes and no. Most user agreements will say that they mow, and outside the terms of the agreement they might negotiate with us to do that mowing, or they might get contractors or do it themselves. But where the user is to maintain, then that's their cost.
Okay.
But we generally don't agree to mow in the terms of the agreement. We negotiate that outside the terms of the agreement.
Thank you.
Any further comments? Happy to move it. Councillor Baines moving it. Councillor Pervin second it. Those in favour? Thank you. We go over to 6.2, resignation as a trustee. Back to you, Mr Valente.
Thank you, Chair. This relates to Goodman Oval, or Reg Goodman Oval at Darragee. It is adjacent to the Department of Education's Environment Education Centre. Historically, the trustees of that reserve were local community members. At their request, Council took over the trusteeship of that reserve in the early 1990s, and we've been maintaining it ever since, even though the reserve is primarily used by the adjacent school as their sports oval. It has some casual use by local residents, but primarily it is the sport oval of the school. The Department of Education have approached us and requested a long-term tenure over the reserve. We're reluctant to grant a long-term lease. I think the simplest solution, which we recommend, is that Council resigns as trustee of the reserve pursuant to the Land Act, and then DOE can be appointed the new trustee. The process of appointing a new trustee is conducted by the Department of Natural Resources, who will engage or should engage all relevant stakeholders, which would include the school and would include traditional owners. Once we resign, we give notice of resignation. Council's resignation will take effect on the earlier of either a date notified by us, by the Minister, or a date we agree with the Minister, or at the latest 1 year after we resign. So in that 1 year or that period, DNR will investigate the appointment of a new trustee. That reserve contains no infrastructure or any strategic value for Council, so we're quite happy to resign as trustee. There is a vegetated part to the west, which is protected lowland forest, and we conduct some feral pig trapping on that site, although that's expected to remain. We don't envisage DOE preventing us continuing to do that. The oval is also to remain a sporting oval, so we do not expect any lack of use by the residents that currently use it. So there's no reason why, in our opinion, we wouldn't resign. So it's our recommendation that Council resigns as trustee of the reserve, and secondly, authorise the CEO to take all necessary steps to resign as trustee of the reserve and execute a notice of resignation and deliver that to the Department of Natural Resources.
Very good. Any comments? No comments? Happy to move. Councillor Baines. Seconded by Councillor Jessup. Got my names all mixed up today. Those in favour? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. 6.3, Transport Asset Management Plan, and Mr McAvoy will present. Oh, sure, no worries.
I think while he's coming in, through you, Chair, we talk a lot about cost shifting from the state government to local government, and this is one of those.
That's a classic example, isn't it?
steps.
You know, us mowing and them using, so they can use and mow. Department of Education seems to get away with that on a lot of occasions. Whilst we want to work with them, but you know, they need to pick up the tab.
Yeah, and I'd suggest many departments, not just one.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, how are you?
How are you?
Good.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I was conflicted on that last one, so to come back in. I'd just like to speak today to introduce the Transport Asset Management Plan. Through the Chair, this is a significant body of work. It's involved a few members of particularly 2 members of our asset management team, which I'd like to thank. Our asset management officer, Tanya, and our asset engineer, Chris. The The asset management plan, it details information about transport infrastructure assets within council. It also gives an idea of the associated risks and future demands on the asset class. It defines how and what services are to be provided, what funds are required to be provided over the 10-year planning period. It details future demands and future risk associated with management of the transport asset class. This is a legislative requirement that we need to have and is required under the Local Government Act and regulations, and we need to have a forecast period of 10 years for how we're going to manage our transport assets. This particular plan identifies that the allocation in our plan budget, in our long-term financial plan, is adequate and is sufficient to continue providing existing services at current levels for the planning period over the next 10 years. The performance of the assets against the levels of service that we outline are expected to remain static, and we also note that the levels of service across the asset class are currently being reviewed also. We identify factors that influence the future demand, and the plans for their management have been identified in the asset management plan, such as managing climate change, inflation in the construction sector, freight and logistics changes, and population growth and targets. We identify critical risks to the portfolios and how we're going to manage those. And we also have an improvement plan for how we're going to improve our manage of transport assets. Financially, when compared to ratios of other comparable councils, such other Tier 4 councils, we're performing well, and we are within recommended bounds as detailed in the Queensland Financial Management Guidelines of 2024. And this reinforces our view that our long-term financial plan is adequately funding the transport asset class. The recommendation of this report is that Council adopt the Transport Asset Management Plan as an overarching document to manage the transport asset portfolio and inform related financial documents such as the long-term financial plan.
Thank you. And I must say that, you know, the transport infrastructure assets account for a huge part of our financials, and when you think of transport infrastructure, most people just think of a road or a car, but I just want to mention a few things that it does cover. It doesn't just cover roads, it covers surface, pavement, sub-pavement, formation of bridges, approaches, barriers, decking, pedestrian access, floodways, curb and channel, guardrails, medium strips, pathways, transport shelters. It just goes on and on and on. It's just massive. So thanks to you and the team for the work that you've done on this. Very much appreciated. Councillor Jessup.
Yes, I actually read every one of the 65 pages in this report. It's massive, and congratulations.
Much appreciated.
Well done.
Councillor Baines.
Thank you, Chair. Very happy to move the recommendation with some comments, with your indulgence.
Yeah, sure.
Great work, Mr. McAvoy. This continuous improvement around our asset management plans has been kicking on for quite a while, and it's a great thing to see. We get comments out of community sometimes about, you know, what do you all do sitting up there in these buildings, and I think that, now you mentioned earlier, this is a very strong legislative requirement of all local governments, not just Cassowary Coast included. It is a great read and it's very informative, 65 pages, but get in there and have a look and you start thinking about some of the strategic decisions and the strategic directions that we need to think about. Well, we haven't even spoken about the strategic asset management plans which sit alongside of these, which are other pieces of work. So again, I reiterate the comments of the councillors. Amazing work. Keep up the good work, and thank you to yourself and the team that surrounds you with this work. Great work. Keep it up.
We already had some good comments from the audit committee, so I'm pretty sure they're going to be even more impressed after they see what further work has been done. So good.
Yeah, Cassowary Coast is recognised as leading in this space.
Yep, certainly.
And I'm happy to move the recommendation.
You second it. It's been moved by Councillor Baines, so yes, you can. Very good. So those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. We move on to planning. Do we have Miss Perkins in the room? No?
She'll be coming in.
Hello, how are you?
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Miss Perkins.
Yes, it still is morning, yes. Oh, Mr. Horton as well, yes.
Morning, Council.
Good morning.
So we have a couple of development applications for you today. The first one is MCU 25/0005. It is a material change of use for multiple dwelling short-term accommodation, 4 by 2 bedroom units to be used for either multiple dwelling or short-term accommodation. Okay, so the application has been prepared by Adapt Development Management Proprietary Limited on behalf of Wright Brothers Superannuation Fund for, as I said, material change of use for multiple dwelling or short-term accommodation. The proposal is for 4 two-storey units. Each unit contains 2 bedrooms. The proposal seeks to develop a hybrid land use, allowing either multiple dwelling or short-term accommodation. The development has been proposed on land described as Lot 41 on RP 712080. It is situated at 29 Porter Promenade, Mission Beach. The site is a single rectangular lot with a total square metre of 825 square metres. The site has frontage to Porter Promenade to the west and Donkin Lane to the east. The lot is currently undeveloped land located within the urban footprint of the Far North Queensland Regional Plan and the Greater Mission Beach Tourism Precinct of the Cassowary Coast Regional Council Planning Scheme. With a site cover of approximately 38%, the development consists of 2 units on both the northern and southern side of the lot, with a central driveway running perpendicular to the street. All 4 units front their respective street, being either Porter Promenade or Donkin Lane, and each unit will comprise of an open carport accommodating 2 to 3 car parks, waste storage area, and an enclosed secure storage at ground level. The first floor of each unit has 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a laundry, a powder room, kitchen, living, dining room, and a balcony, and each unit has external covered stairs provided for access to the first floor. Building materials for this development and finishes include batten screening, horizontal cladding, timber balustrading, pitched colorbond roofs, balconies and outdoor spaces are proposed to foster an attractive street frontage. Landscaping and turfed areas are provided in between each unit to allow private outdoor space and separate built form, thereby reducing the bulk and scale of the development to the street frontage and adjoining sites. The central driveway provides further separation to the built form of the development. This application required referral to the State Assessment Referral Agency, known as SARA, for the site's proximity to a state-controlled road, being Porter Promenade. SARA provided a response with conditions on the 27th of March 2025, and SARA prohibited access to the site from Porter Promenade, requiring access to the site solely from Donkin Lane. The application is impact accessible, therefore public notification was required and 0 submissions were received by Council during the public notification process. The proposed development for multiple dwelling short-term accommodation facilitates a range of housing options for both residents and tourists and has been architecturally designed to ensure the development is compatible with the scale and character of the surrounding area. The proposed site layout demonstrates the development and associated infrastructure can be wholly contained within the site, ensuring comfort and convenience for occupants. The proposed development is generally consistent with the provisions of the Far North Queensland Regional Plan and the Cassowary Coast Regional Council Planning Scheme. Therefore, the application for material change of use for multiple dwelling short-term accommodation, 4 by 2 bedroom units used for either multiple dwelling or short-term accommodation, is recommended for approval, subject to reasonable and relevant conditions. Happy to answer any questions.
Councillor Chewy.
Thank you. I think this is an exciting, and the next one as well, should it go ahead for the area. Just the revitalisation has causing a lot of excitement, I think, within the state. Just two questions though, or comment. The first one's a comment. Glad to see that there's adequate parking, because if it does go to holiday let, sometimes people come and there is not enough parking space on Port au Prince so I'm glad that that has been considered, because I think that would be a potential problem. My question now is, could you please define short-term accommodation?
Short-term accommodation, through the chair, is generally limited to 3 months.
Okay, so, beg your pardon?
Sorry.
Yeah.
And by tourists, whereas multiple dwelling is long-term residential accommodation, so locals
Yes.
living in the area.
So we have had issues in the past where accommodation places have been let out for 3 nights consecutively, and there becomes a problem then when the cleaners go in and there is waste obviously accumulated. That bin becomes full. The next lot of people move in, the bin is full. So to facilitate the correct procedures and not having people illegally dump in public bins, what do the landowner or the real estate agent do to make sure that we don't have issues with waste for short, I'm talking holiday 2 or 3 night stays? Does that make sense, that question? Thank you.
Yes, through the chair it does. Thanks, Councillor. Excess waste, yeah, can become a problem if it's rented, individually overnight, like a motel type component. There is avenues there. Any owner and any residential owner that owns a current dwelling in the region can apply for an additional set of bins and put that on their rates. So you can have 2 sets of bins. So if a unit, this might be rented in a way where there's 3 people long term and 1 unit, is rented, short term component, might be half-assed, might be 3/4 and a quarter. But yeah, if that excess waste there, they can apply and come to council. We should be picking that up if there's issues around that bin with pickup from JJ's reporting that to council, as well as a lot of times, people put in a customer request around that approach. I suppose the other aspects is if it's ongoing, we've got mechanisms under the Public Health Act. It can be a public health issue, which we can issue a notice, which means that you've got to rectify the situation, which means, that could probably be outlined that you need to apply for another set of bins and deal with that matter, councillor.
Happy to move. Seconded by Councillor McLeod. Any further comments? Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Back to you.
Thank you. Second application I have for you today is right next door to the one we've just discussed. So this one is MCU 25/0008. It's a material change of use for dual occupancy and short-term accommodation. So the application has been prepared by Gilbia Planning on behalf of Mac Park Proprietary Limited for material change of use for dual occupancy and short-term accommodation. The application seeks a development permit for material change of use for a hybrid development to be used for either dual occupancy or short-term accommodation. The applicant seeks to construct a detached dual occupancy consisting of 2 dwelling units, 1 5-bedroom and 1 2-bedroom. The proposal seeks to provide hybrid land use options, allowing for either dual occupancy or short-term accommodation to provide flexibility in the housing accommodation choice within the Greater Mission Beach Tourism Precinct. The development is proposed on land described as Lot 40 on RP 712080, situated at 27 Porter Promenade. The subject site is a single rectangular lot with a total area of 825 square metres. The site has frontage to Porter Promenade to the west and Donkin Lane to the east. The lot is currently undeveloped land, vacant land, located within the urban footprint of the Far North Queensland Regional Plan and the Township Zone Greater Mission Beach Local Plan Tourism Precinct of the Cassowary Coast Regional Council Planning Scheme. The development consists of 2 dwellings proposed to be contained within their own subdivided lots. However, no subdivision is proposed at this stage. Each unit will front and have access to their respective street, either Porter Promenade or Donkin Lane. The proposed development includes constructing 2 detached dwellings. So dwelling 1 on the western side of the site is to be comprised of 2 separate buildings. The first building contains a 2-bay garage, bathroom, laundry and storeroom on the ground floor, and a bedroom, bathroom, deck, kitchen and living area on the first floor. The second building within dwelling unit 1 is going to be high set with an open undercroft, with the first floor featuring 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 living spaces and 2 balconies. Dwelling unit 1 will also feature a swimming pool and will be accessed from Porter Promenade. Dwelling 2 on the eastern side of the subject site is to be accessed via Donkin Lane, from which 2 car park spaces are provided in tandem, and one of these spaces will be covered. Dwelling unit 2 also features an open undercroft on the ground floor with a storeroom, partially covered deck, detached pool shack and a swimming pool. The first floor is to contain 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a kitchen and a living space with a large balcony. This application required referral to the State Assessment Referral Agency, known as SARA, for the site's proximity to the state-controlled road being Porter Promenade. SARA provided a response with conditions on the 22nd of April 2025, and SARA permitted access to the site from Porter Promenade for dwelling unit 1. So dwelling unit 1 has been accessed from Porter Promenade, dwelling unit 2 from Donkin Lane. The application is impact assessable, requiring public notification, and 0 submissions were received during the public notification process. The proposed dual occupancy and short-term accommodation development is consistent with the intended land use for the subject site, which is within the township zone. Architecturally designed, the development respects the established low-density residential character of the area, whilst contributing positively to the diversity of housing options in the region, whilst minimising potential environmental impacts. The development addresses the growing housing and accommodation demand within the locality. Generally consistent with the provisions of the Far North Queensland Regional Plan and the Cassowary Coast Regional Council Planning Scheme, the application for material change of use for dual occupancy and short-term accommodation is recommended for approval, subject to reasonable and relevant conditions. Happy to answer any questions.
Councillor McLeod.
Thank you, through the chair. It's more of a comment, really. It is really good to see. I think this is the 3rd application in the last 6 months for Mission Beach regarding units and that. We do have a housing shortage, and you know, it is great to see that people are actually investing in our region, and you know, hopefully when they put their building application in, that they'll be supporting local trades and businesses, as well as you know, the people who are down there as well. So this is a great outcome for our region. And how long has it been since an application like this has come down the Mission Beach area? In that, like, we've had a bit of a stagnant.
Last ones would be those ones across from Castaways there, you know, diagonally across.
Yeah, through the chair.
It's been a while.
Yeah, through the chair, we've had a couple, probably Warren Witt built those ones on the corner of Castaways, those ones sort of towards the Stinger Net. That was probably 07.
So,
and then last year we had the dual lock there, which has been subdivided into 2 from David Moody investment. But sort of these larger type developments like this, probably not for a long time. Blenner's done his subdivision, and probably had the last major sort of units is probably MyCorp up on the hill there, Cananglebar Street, which is on the corner there. So, yeah, it's lovely to see. We've still got an application to come to council yet for 42 units, I think, next to the Beach Town development there on that side. So, yeah, there's still a bit to come, and hopefully there's a bit more discussion as we move forward around that revitalisation area.
Through the chair, a lot of it is based on the master plan. So discussions with applicants have involved their master plan, and they're doing this to accommodate the master plan and facilitate further development. And generally when we see something come in, it prompts that confidence in the
region
market.
Yeah, and I commend the team, because these are not easy to go through, and there is a lot of work that goes into all of these applications by the planning team. And yeah, thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Councillor Jessup.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair, I agree. When people see council are investing in the area, they tend to get a renewed hope for that area and start investing more. So it's great to see. And housing is what we need. Accommodation for locals. So yeah, wonderful to see.
Did you read the recommendation?
Yes. You can do it again if you wish.
Yes.
The application for material change of use for dual occupancy and short-term accommodation is recommended for approval subject to reasonable and relevant conditions, which are shown in attachment 1.
Moved by Councillor McLeod, seconded by Councillor Jessup. Those in favour? Carried, thank you very much. Move on to the next one, 7.3.
Thank you, Council. 7.3 is an application for reduction in infrastructure charges relating to RAL 2516, which is a reconfig of one lot into 2 lots on land described as Lot 1 on RP 709-227. It's situated at 4 Reeder Street, South Innisfail. Reeder Street is in that area where it's located not far from the river. The Johnson, South Johnson, heading towards the Johnson. This block's nearly at the end of Reeder Street, near the Esplanade. The receipt of this request is from Peter and Julie Reynolds for the 100% reduction infrastructure charges for this development. The amount of that would result in a $29,339.55 discount if the works are done within a period up and completed till the 18th of June 2028, which an infrastructure agreement will be signed. Council is recommended. It meets the eligibility and assessment criteria, and therefore it is recommended for that reduction. The other component with this property, there must have been some forethought when sewer went into Innisfail. I think maybe Dave might off the top of his head, maybe 1974. I think around that time or something when it went in, I think, in Innisfail.
He was just a boy.
It was when I was born. Lovely year. But there is sewer in the balance block, which circumference around the boundaries with certain jump ups. So there's already 5 jump ups in there. So the balance block that's coming off that the house lot with the 2 lot subdivision has that type of infrastructure in there already. So leading forward, hopefully someone picks it up and further looks at the subdivision or units for that property, which will be nice to see. However, Council, it's recommended for approval. I'm happy to answer any other further questions.
Moved by Councillor Baines. Is that flood free?
Through the chair, yes, it is one of those sites. A luxury of having not the flood components that we do have in other areas in Innisfail.
It is a very nice area.
So yeah, it's a considerable size block, which is nice too. Hopefully it gets a look in for
bring our numbers up.
Or the current owners might do something with it as well.
Yeah,
either
that's
or.
great.
So yeah.
You'll second it. Seconded by Councillor Pervin. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you
guys.
Thanks,
Have a
Council.
great day.
Greatly appreciate it.
Move on to our favourite topic, general business. I'm gonna start off, and I'm gonna be Councillor Chewy today. I know. I probably am gonna just on one thing. I just want to encourage everybody to get down to the Tully show, have a look at the exhibits. There's usually lots of exhibits down there. Get yourself a fish burger. Buy some tickets at the local ambulance raffle, and have a great time at the Tully show. So I encourage you to get down there, even though it's raining. It's always a good time. Councillor Jessup.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, everybody have a great time at the show. We all deserve a bit of fun every now and then, don't we? Don't forget to sign up for your E-rates by tomorrow. Tomorrow's the cut-off for this round of rates. So avoid getting a paper copy. Sign up. It's well worth doing for the environment and also to save a bit of money. Some more general business. We have the reseal of Butler Street is to commence weather permitting, between the 4th and the 6th over 3 nights. So just giving you the heads up on that one. Let's just pray that the rain stays away a bit
Sorry,
past the 6th.
can we get a clarification on that's 1 and 2 now, isn't it?
Yes.
They've been packaged into, okay, very
Yes,
good.
yes.
So that means the whole of Butler
Well,
Street basically up
Except
to the
for one
post office.
intersection.
Okay.
The Steele Street intersection has a bit more going on, so
Okay.
we'll deal with that one a little bit later. But yeah, it's gonna certainly bring a renewed look to the street. We have a Lawmac conference getting held at Mission Beach with 120 to 150 delegates in August. It should boost the economy nicely down at Mission Beach. People are staying there. Hopefully we'll be getting them to utilise the village green and all other parts of Mission Beach and the Cassowary Coast. They're here to see what we have. So another program that I just want to bring to people's attention in the hospitality industry, Plastic Free Places is a regional delivery program that works directly with businesses to help replace single-use plastics. And I will be in my division coming around to have a chat with people in the hospitality industry to see if they'd like to join up. It's free to join and there's a lot of benefits to it to get rid of our single-use plastics. So I'm pretty sure other councillors will be doing the same thing in their divisions, so look out for that. Yes, so that's pretty much it from me. Everybody have a nice time at the show.
I believe there's also some work around the fertiliser bags and
Yes,
working with
yes,
a couple
there's
of different teams. So
there's
I
a
look
lot of good
forward to
stories there.
seeing a solution there too. So
Yeah.
good on you.
It's
Councillor Chewy.
Thank you. Just sort of following on from the conversations that we've already had, if I may. Yes, please support the Tully Show. A lot of volunteer hours go in there. It's amazing. I was there this morning. I invite you all to take part in the selfie scavenger hunt. You could win $100 cash just by walking around and taking a few clicks at various spots. Can't tell you where because that would be cheating. Big shout out to the Cassowary Coast Businesswomen's Network. Councillors McLeod and Millwood and myself attended the event on Tuesday night. There were 60 attendees, not all ladies. We did have some gentlemen in the crowd as well. Started at Shanty, did a walk around, shop stayed open. I think nearly everybody there probably bought something. That was the impression that I got. It was a really great night. So I might take my hat off to the Businesswomen's Network team for their thought process of making it happen and the way that community and the shopkeepers, were so supportive of it. So well done to them and look forward to a similar event happening again. I think it was great. Following on from Councillor Jessop's conversation about the paper, Mr. Genty reached out to me and said that originally it's coming out 20th of August and the first copy was going to be free. Now every copy will be free. Paper and online will be free. That's what she yes, she messaged me last night and that's what told me. So that's exciting as well. So
great.
we reach out to community, whether you please advertise in it, let them know of your sporting events, your community events, school events. Let's make this paper. It is called the Cassowary Coast Observer. It will be our paper. We'll be reading about things happening that's relevant to us, whether it be in council or, as I said, everywhere else. So it's really important that we get behind it and support it. We've all been longing for a paper. We all missed the Tully Times on a Thursday morning. It was the first thing you did, was read the Tully
where
Times.
will that be available?
I haven't got that information just yet. I believe there's going to be an official launch, so that information will be there. But I just thought it was exciting that it's now going to be free. So thank you for that. And I think that's all. See you all at the show. Thank you.
I'd like to further congratulate the Cassowary Coast Business Women's Network for their tour that they did on Wednesday night. It was a fantastic evening. Everybody there enjoyed themselves and I think everybody did spend money, which was great. That was the whole idea of it. And I think some of the retailers down there thought that it was such a great idea that they might continue the idea into the future. So, yeah, watch this space. Is there any more general business? No. Sorry. Councillor Baines.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of events coming up in August. So on the 17th of August, there is the 76th Victory in the Pacific celebrations up in Tablelands Regional Council. There are events on Friday and Saturday that some tours and some other things that you can book into, and the memorial event will happen on the Sunday the 17th at the Rocky Creek facility up in the Tablelands. And just to keep it really busy, the next day on the 18th of August is Vietnam Veterans Day. So please, if there's an event on at your local RSL, please get along. I can give you a time for the Innisfail RSL. The ceremony will start at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. in the morning, 1000 hours, and we encourage the community participation in these events has been growing over the years, and I would encourage members of the community to please come out and support your veterans, past and present. Be there. Be great. Thank you.
Any further general business?
Oh, can I do one last
Yes,
thank
you?
you?
May. Yes, you may.
For the world's first layering of a Cassowary credit and a carbon credit event. I thank all the councillors and the team members who attended the event. We spoke to the event earlier. Mr. Graffin spoke. I don't know how we got a Cassowary there, but it was the place to be on the day. So I thank everyone who was part of it, and look at this. Keep an eye on this space in the future. These are some of the economic, environmental opportunities coming forward in our region. So, thanks,
I just
Chair.
wanted to make a mention too that I did make a trip to Cairns earlier this week and met with Deputy Premier Mr. Blay. And we'd like to thank the government for their forthcoming injection again into our infrastructure projects. They've given us another 6.2 million to cover trunk infrastructure, which without that, you know, the investors don't sort of come because it's not really viable. So we're very thankful for that. And I also, while I was there, nabbed him on the Port Hinchinbrook investment that they have put aside, and there are up and coming discussions. Nothing has been disclosed at this stage, and once we are allowed to disclose what is happening, I can assure you we will. So I'd like to thank the government for that too. Is there any further discussion? If not, we will break. Thank you. Yeah, no, we're not closing. We're just going to a break, and then we'll come back to the confidential. Yeah. No, we'll close now for a break.
Through the chair, I'd just like to draw your attention to the 2025-26 Regional Reseal Program. Every year, Council undertakes an annual bitumen reseal program as part of the required maintenance of our sealed road network. Previous programs have been delivered under a collective procurement arrangement with our neighbouring councils. This is through the Far North Queensland Regional Organisation of Councils, FNQ-ROC. They invited tenders for the 2023-24 Regional Bitumen Reseal Program, and as part of that, there's the option to extend to 24-25 and this year 25-26. FNQ-ROC has recommended that the existing contract with FGF Bitumen Pty Limited is varied to include this year's resealing program as for each participating council. Operational staff have independently assessed both the updated pricing and the schedule of this year's contract, and we consider it sound, value and level of service to council. And the recommendation is that council varies this contract, the 23-24 Regional Bitumen Reseal Program with FGF Bitumen Pty Limited, by including the resealing program for 25-26. Based on the indicative works program and pricing, the annual contract value is estimated to be in the vicinity of $2.6 million excluding. And also that delegates authority to the Chief Executive Officer in accordance with the Local Government Act 2009 to enter into contracts, negotiate, finalise and execute any and all matters associated with or in relation to this contract subject to Council's procurement practices and policies.
So in relation to this, we'll see more resealing than we previously seen?
Yes, there's significant increase on last year's from 36 kilometres up to 60 kilometres of resealing, which is about 10% of our sealed road network.
Which is good, given that, hopefully they can catch up because they're still not playing catch up, but that's a bonus if we get more done now than we had previously seen done. And there's another point I wanted to make was that a lot of people comment around why we're putting bitumen back on roads that don't have anything wrong with them, but the method behind the madness is that it extends the life of the road that's already there. Is that correct in saying that?
Yeah, so the seal protects the pavement underneath, and the surface is, you could argue, the most important aspect. The seal is the most important aspect of the road. So going through and doing reseals, although it may not appear to the untrained eye that a reseal is due, this is a preventative action which prolongs the life of the seal and also prevents much more expensive rehabilitation or renewal of the underlying pavement itself. And in the long term, having a proactive reseal program saves significant money to council.
Very good. Councillor McLeod?
Yeah, so through the chair, similar to servicing your car when it's due to be serviced. If you don't, you're going to end up with troubles later.
That's correct.
Councillor Jessup?
I'm happy to move. This is great based on the facts that, it's a preventative measure. So I think, if we can get 10 more years or whatever before we need it, I think it's wonderful. So I'm happy to move.
Thank you. Councillor Baines, seconded. Did you have your hand up? Sorry. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll move on to item 9.2, quarterly rates and debtors outstanding report.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Good afternoon, Council. Quarterly rates and debtors outstanding for this quarter. This report is confidential in accordance with Section 254J, Section 3 of the Local Government Regulation. The report is presented for Council information regarding the status of the rates and charges and sundry debtors as at the 30th of June 2025 or otherwise stated. Further information includes current outstanding rates to 30th of June 2025 sits at 9.25% compared to 8.3% as at 30th of June 2024. The amount currently outstanding across 1,436 rate files is about 8.4 million. Council has 459 current rate files with council debt collection agencies, totalling about 1.458 million. 88 payment arrangements with a combined total of $103,426. There are 149 current sundry debtor files with debit balances totalling $551,000 and 7 active sundry debtor files with the council debt collection agencies totalling about $16,000. Recommendation is that council receive and note the quarterly rates and debtors outstanding report as at the 30th of June 2025.
Just had one question around, was there anything in particular that pointed to the 9.25% compared to 8.3% last year?
Yeah, thank you for your question there, Mayor. Yes, so interest accrues. So last year's rate of interest was 12.35%, so that's a large driver into substantial increase there from 8.3% and 9.25%. And the other point to highlight is that there was a slight delay in us getting some of our rate files to debt collection agencies to obtain some of those payments. What we find is that when debt collection agencies attend to those rate files and notify ratepayers, that we very quickly get payments coming in. So there was a slight delay between when we sent those out this year versus last year. So they're the two drivers as to why that percentage increase.
Okay. Any further questions? No? Somebody? Removed by Councillor McLeod. Seconded by Councillor Littlemore. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. We go on to 9.3, the CEO performance review. This report is confidential in accordance with section 254J13B of the Local Government Regulation 2012, which permits the meeting to be closed to the public for business relating to industrial matters affecting employees. Section 12(4) of the Local Government Act 2009 requires the Mayor to conduct a performance appraisal of the Chief Executive Officer at least annually in a way that is decided by Council, and Section 1944A of the Act requires that the employment contract of the Chief Executive Officer meet performance standards set by Council. Council has completed the review of the Chief Executive Officer's performance for the period 1 July 23 through to 30th of June 2024, and the recommendation is that Council receive and note the performance assessment of the Chief Executive Officer, Mr Andrew Grafford, for the period 1st of July 2023 through to 30th of June 2024. Moved by Councillor Baines, seconded by Councillor Chewy. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. We go now to the meeting is closed at 12:34. Thank you.